One thing that I try to do with these town profile videos is to actually show you the town and not just talk about it. So this video is going to contain plenty of footage from in and around the town of Marshfield to give you a much better feel for what the town actually lives like. So if that's what you're looking for Marshfield, some of these surrounding neighborhoods, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. My goal with these videos is really to give people a much better starting point than they would get just by watching my dumb head talk about the towns for 20 minutes or so. So without further ado, let's dive into Marshfield. Marshfield is one of the most popular coastal towns on the South Shore, especially if you are looking for a great balance between lifestyle and price. It has beaches, it has space, it has solid schools, and a great community. And it's definitely more attainable than some of the surrounding coastal towns as well. This is a town a lot of buyers end up seriously considering when they are looking at the suburbs of southeastern Massachusetts. But it definitely has its downsides, so as I do in all of these videos, we're going to go through a list of the pros and cons, talk about who this town tends to be a great fit for, and who might want to consider looking somewhere else. Before we get into the pros and cons, let's take a look at Marshfield's location on the South Shore. Marshfield sits about 30 miles south of Boston, right along the coastline, and it borders Scituate, Norwell, Pembroke, and Duxbury. And one of the defining features of Marshfield is it is a true coastal town, but it's a bit more spread out and a little less centralized. You've got 7 great neighborhoods in town, and each one has their own unique vibe. Some are more beach focused, and some are more quiet and residential. Now let's get into some of the positive aspects of living in Marshfield. Pro number 1 of living in Marshfield is that coastal lifestyle at a much more attainable price point. Now this is probably the biggest draw. Compared to towns like Hingham that have a median sales price of $1.4 million, Cohasset with a median sales price of $1.5 million, and even Scituate with a median sales price of $1.1 million, Marshfield can feel much more accessible as far as price point goes, with a median single-family home price at $850,000. You still get coastal living, waterfront homes in many neighborhoods, and easy access to the beach even if you're in a neighborhood that's a little bit further inland. But all of this comes at a lower entry point. Of course, if you are right on the water, you're going to pay a premium in those neighborhoods. Pro number 2 is the strong beach community feel. There are 6 beaches in Marshfield, plus access to Scituate's Hummerock Beach, which basically runs entirely along the Marshfield town line. Most of these beachfront areas like Rexhame, Fieldston, Brant Rock, and Green Harbor have their own tight-knit communities. During the summertime, these waterfront homes and neighborhoods feel less like private residences and a little bit more like community gathering areas, not just for the residents themselves, but also for their families and friends. The neighbors here don't just see each other at the beach, they spend time together, they look out for each other, help each other out, and all summer long these neighborhoods are a place where people bring the kids and dogs to spend the day at the beach, and in the evening many go back to their nearby homes and host cookouts, and this happens throughout the entire summer. There's really no need to leave this area and spend a week or two down the Cape in the summer when people in these neighborhoods have basically everything they need right outside their door. To celebrate Independence Day on the 3rd of July every year, all of the neighbors get together and put on an impressive fireworks show all up and down these beaches along the coast. That sense of community continues through annual events like the Marshfield Fair, and also through popular local staples like the Levitate Backyard and Rexhame Surf Cantina, the Lobster Pound over at Green Harbor, the Jetty and the Point over at Brant Rock, Coffee Shack, May's Sandwich Shop, and the list goes on here with the community staples in this town. So you really have this classic South Shore beach town feel here in Marshfield. For many buyers, that's exactly what they are looking for, especially if coastal community living has been a big part of their lives before moving into Massachusetts. Pro number 3 is you're generally looking at more space and less density here. So compared to some more built up towns, you have larger lots, more separation, and less congestion. It definitely feels more open and less crowded. I will say though, the waterfront neighborhoods are definitely more dense. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking to be right on the water in Marshfield, you're generally speaking not going to have these large lots to work with. Whereas the areas further inland or along the Pembroke line, generally you're going to have more space and you're going to get a little bit more bang for your buck in those neighborhoods. Pro number 4 is the variety of housing options you have here. Now, there are some seasonal beach cottages in this town, but 90% of the housing stock here is year-round living. And like many other towns in this area, you're going to have a variety of different styles to choose from. You have ranches, Cape Cods, colonials, raised ranches and split levels, antique farmhouses and historic homes, as well as luxury waterfront homes. That means you can enter here at different price points and upgrade over time if you want to stay in town, maybe keep your kids in the school system, or you just do not want to leave the coastal lifestyle that Marshfield offers. Pro number 5 is the strong community, schools, and safety. And many of you are going to consider this pro number 1, but beyond the beaches and beyond the great lifestyle balance here, Marshfield has built a reputation as a community where people put down roots. Marshfield has a strong public school system with an A rating on niche.com and is generally regarded as one of the safer communities in Massachusetts, ranking number 12 out of 154 according to SafeWise in 2025. If you are looking to buy a primary home on the South Shore, not just a vacation destination, those factors are a big part of why people choose to stay here long term. It gives Marshfield a sense of stability that a lot of buyers are looking for. As you can see, Marshfield is an amazing town, but there are some drawbacks. So let's get into the cons of living in Marshfield, starting with con number 1. The commute to Boston is very long here. Let's be clear, you are 30 miles south of Boston, and it's mostly driving. There is commuter rail access, but it's in Scituate and not in the town of Marshfield, and there is no ferry to downtown like there is in Hingham or Hull. Now, everyone has different tolerances for traffic and sitting in the car, but whether you're taking Route 3 or Route 3A to I-93 North to get into Boston, you're going to be sitting in the car for quite a while here. So just make sure you know what that commute looks like for you, especially if you're a 9-to-5 employee. If you have ever driven in the South Shore area or the Boston area, the traffic getting into the city, rush hour isn't really an hour in the morning and an hour at night. It's more of an all-day thing here. You do get some occasional relief between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., but just make sure you know what you're in for when it comes to driving to the city and back. Con number 2 is your coastal exposure here. Now, just like other coastal towns, you have flood zones, you have storm exposure, you have some insurance considerations. This definitely needs to be understood before buying, especially if you plan on buying a waterfront home that's right up against the seawall or the high water mark. When you have storm surge combined with heavy wind, you can get some big waves crashing against the seawall, and the homes right on the water can take kind of a beating. Just picture that final scene of Equalizer 2 that was actually filmed right here in Marshfield's Brant Rock area. Another thing worth noting about Marshfield is you're more prone to outages here, and those power outages lasting longer than they might in a nearby town. Now, a part of that comes down to the coastal exposure, but another part of it comes down to Marshfield's geography itself. And I don't work for utilities companies. I'm not a professional electrician or anything, but from my understanding, the way that Marshfield's neighborhoods operate, especially the waterfront neighborhoods, is they almost behave like peninsulas because there's marshes, rivers, inlets on either side of the neighborhood, which means that the power supply has to come from a few main sources. So when an outage happens, when heavy winds, a nor'easter, tree branches are falling on these main power lines, power can't necessarily be rerouted into those neighborhoods in any other way, and those lines have to be repaired, which means it can take a little bit longer. Outages can last a little longer. And just something to keep in mind as you're considering Marshfield. Many residents of this town have backup generators, and if it's an option, many of those people with backup generators choose to have the natural gas lines from the town actually run right to their generator, so they don't have to worry about running out of fuel for the generators. You know, outages don't typically last longer than a day or two, but if they last longer than that, it can be a little bit tough to live in a community that, you know, you don't have power for up to a week sometimes. So it doesn't happen all the time, doesn't even happen every winter, but they do get outages more frequently than some surrounding communities. Just keep that in mind. Con number 3 is the less defined town center. Marshfield doesn't really have a central downtown area like Scituate Harbor or Hingham Square. It's less cohesive, it's more spread out. There is a commercial strip along Route 139 and a large plaza at Webster Square, which has a Star Market and some restaurants and other retailers. Speaking of retailers, one of Marshfield's most unique claims to fame is the Marshfield Hills General Store, which was actually purchased by Steve and Nancy Carell back in 2009. And they bought the store not really as a business venture, but more of a way to preserve a piece of the community's history. And they can be seen popping into the store from time to time, helping out staff and catching up with locals, but kind of a cool little fun fact regarding the Marshfield Hills area. Con number 4 is the seasonal shifts here. It is much busier in the summer, much quieter in the winter, not shocking for a coastal community in New England. If you do live in these water adjacent neighborhoods, the changes can just feel a little bit more dramatic. There are plenty of people that still appreciate the beach in the winter time. And if you're a little bit set back from the beach, if you're in these neighborhoods that are further inland, you're not going to feel it as much. It feels like any other New England or Massachusetts suburb. But again, those coastal areas just feel it a little bit more. Con number 5 is Marshfield feels a little bit less polished than some other nearby coastal communities. So compared to Cohasset, compared to Hingham, or even Scituate, Marshfield just feels a little bit less refined in certain areas. For some buyers, that's a downside. For others, that is exactly where the value is. What I love about this town is it is full of great, non-pretentious people that know that this town is built around the community and the beach. It is not trying to be something it's not. And the people that live here don't care what's going on in the surrounding towns. They know they have access to some of the best stretches of beach between Boston and Cape Cod. Now let's get into the kinds of buyers that Marshfield could be a perfect fit for. Marshfield works really well for buyers prioritizing coastal lifestyle at a lower price point, buyers comfortable being further from Boston, buyers looking for a relaxed beach town feel, buyers open to seasonal lifestyle shifts, and buyers planning a longer term ownership. This is definitely a lifestyle and value-driven decision. So who should think twice before moving here? Well, Marshfield might not be a great fit for buyers who need a short, easy commute to Boston, buyers wanting a charming, walkable downtown area, buyers prioritizing a polished or luxury environment, or buyers who want consistency across all neighborhoods. So to wrap up here, guys, Marshfield is not about convenience. It is about lifestyle, value, and coastal living. Marshfield gives you access to this South Shore coastal lifestyle at a price point that still makes sense. If you are considering Marshfield as an option or trying to compare it to towns like Scituate or Duxbury, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to start the conversation, see if we can find the perfect community and neighborhood for you. We are the Rivers Group at Compass Real Estate. We help buyers and sellers all over the South Shore and into the greater Boston area find the perfect homes for them and sell their homes. So if you're curious about what your current home is worth, trying to free up some equity so you can buy your next place, we can help you there as well. Even if you are outside the South Shore area, we have a network of agents nationwide that can always help our clients who are moving in and out of state. So feel free to reach out to us at the number below or through the link in the description. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.